So I'm back from Knowledge 2026 that took place last week. A lot of great conversations with customers, which I love, the analyst community, reporters, sat in on both the keynotes, or at least two of the keynotes. I forget how many there were at this point. And a lot of things leading into this was, came to fruition, right? A lot of talk about AI, obviously. A lot of customer conversations I had were focused on two primary things. I need to get more out of the products I already have, hoping that ServiceNow is going to focus some attention, some R&D and time with me, especially leading up to renewal on those things. Customers that understand the AI vision, understand the platform and AI and why ServiceNow is focusing where they are currently. But at the same time, yes, there's interest, but going back to point one, how do I get more out of what I already have? And then let's continue those conversations. Customers that have already adopted Now Assist, some pretty good feedback, but at the same time, like really figuring out the model, really figuring out forecasting. Do they over forecast? Do they have too many assists? What does it mean now that AI is embedded in everything? Now that there's 3 new product packages, what does that mean for them? That's a question I continually get. My answer is pretty straightforward. I can give the details. I can give kind of planning perspective, foundation, advanced, prime, things to think about, things you need to make sure you negotiate into those deals because there's still that hybrid nature, which ServiceNow on earnings calls is clearly putting out there as beneficial for clients or customers of theirs. Quite honestly, I'd say it's more beneficial for them, and the financial community really likes it. So making sure you do those deals right, upfront discounting, volume discounting, forecasting, transparency, definitions, all things I've covered. That was definitely a topic of conversation at Knowledge that I had a lot of, right? Because they're hearing AI, they're seeing McDermott get all jazzed up on keynote stages, but it still comes back to like, I'm Now Assist customer. It's now embedded. You're telling me there might be new packaging, or you're really not giving me much detail on that. What does this mean? From specific AI, the one that was obvious, so if you listen to any of the keynotes, AI Control Tower. What is it? Is it just a dashboard? These are questions I'm getting, questions that I think ServiceNow is going to have to answer. Free for 1 year sounds great, but I think a lot of customers understand free is not really free. What happens after the fact? $2 million list price or MSRP price being thrown around there. That's a little scary. Autonomous workforce, employee works, things that are definitely been pushed in a lot during Knowledge. Customers, I would say, are interested. Again, they have questions, right? At the end of the day, is this MoveWorks? What happens with my relationship that I already have there? Autonomous workforce, again, maybe I see the vision, but how do I get there? What does it mean for me? What protections am I going to have? What happens if I don't get to where I am? These are the things, right? Concerns that customers are voicing. So overall takeaway, it was packed. I definitely think there's interest. I definitely think there's going to be an aggressive push. So customers that have renewals in December or post-December, which is ServiceNow's year-end, expect aggressive in-term or pushing into early renewals or renewals. Customers need to pay attention. Again, it's all about transparency, but arm yourselves with what you're using and not using currently. Get their focus at the right place as early as possible at the right senior levels. Listen, I go to these conferences. I tell you there's definitely interest around their products, the story. But at this point, for a lot of customers I'm talking to, it's still a story. And then there's reality of what they need ServiceNow to be focused on. And if ServiceNow can figure that out and accommodate accordingly and give commitments, give advanced commitments, give access to the right people in the product set, I could see customers continuing this interest and potentially even adopting. But as I always say to these customers, and I'll continue to say this, figure out what your needs are, right? But then ensure that you have the right commercial construct. Because if you don't, at this point in time, AI specifically, they will absolutely become problematic constructs that it's going to be very hard to unwind and redo. So do it right now and then not feel the pain later.